Welcome to Persona Life, the place where English learning meets psychology, self-growth, and meaningful stories.
Some people genuinely prefer being alone. Not socially awkward, not depressed, not antisocial. They just feel better in their own company. But here's the thing nobody talks about. That preference didn't come from nowhere. It wasn't something you were born with. It was something you learned. What we call loving alone time is often a survival strategy a younger version of you built and never turned off. Your peace might not be peace. It might be protection.
Psychologists studying attachment and nervous system regulation have been pointing at this for years. The pattern is so consistent, it's almost predictable. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down where this preference actually comes from, the one question that tells you if your solitude is healthy or hiding something, and what your relationship with being alone is secretly revealing about your emotional history. Stay with me. The second point is the one that hits hardest.
For a lot of people who prefer being alone, it's not that they hate people. It's that being around people costs them something. Energy, focus, a sense of safety. Human interaction feels unpredictable. And unpredictability is exhausting for a nervous system that's been trained to stay on guard. Think about what happens when you're around someone. Even someone you like. You're scanning their tone, their mood, what they might need from you, whether you're saying the right thing. For most people, that scanning is light. For others, it's a full-time job. So when they finally get home and close the door, that exhale, that's not joy. That's their body finally turning off the threat detector. This is why solitude feels like relief and not just preference. You're not choosing alone time because it's fun. You're choosing it because it's the only place your system gets to rest. That's a huge distinction.
And here's where it gets interesting. Because that exhaustion didn't start in adulthood. It started a long time ago. Which brings us to the part most people never connect. The preference for solitude almost always traces back to childhood, specifically to moments when relying on someone else for emotional support felt risky. Maybe you expressed sadness and got dismissed. Maybe you asked for comfort and got criticized.
Maybe you showed a need and it was used against you later.
So what does a kid do? They adapt. They learn really quickly that the safest place to put their feelings is inside themselves. They become their own comfort, their own audience, their own emotional regulator. They build an inner world that nobody can touch, because nobody touching it means nobody can hurt it. Fast forward 20 years.
That kid is now an adult who values independence, who doesn't need anyone, who loves their own space, and everyone around them praises it. Independence is celebrated in our culture. Self-sufficiency is a badge. But underneath that badge is a survival mechanism that got promoted to a personality trait. You didn't become independent. You were trained to be independent because depending on people wasn't safe. That's the part nobody says out loud.
Now, before you spiral and assume every alone moment is trauma, pause, because there's a question that changes everything, and most people never ask it. Solitude itself isn't the problem. Some people are genuinely energized by being alone. It fills them up, sharpens them, restores them. That's real. That's healthy. But for others, alone time isn't refueling, it's hiding.
So here's the question. When you choose to be alone, are you moving toward something? Peace, creativity, rest, yourself? Or are you moving away from something? The discomfort of being seen, the risk of needing someone, the vulnerability of connection, same behavior, completely different route. One is a choice, the other is a flinch.
Healthy solitude expands you. Avoidant solitude shrinks you. One leaves you feeling like yourself. The other leaves you feeling safer, but smaller.
And the only way to know which one you're in is to get honest about the motive, not the behavior. Which leads to the bigger picture, because once you see this pattern clearly, your alone time stops being just a preference. It becomes information.
Your relationship with solitude is one of the most honest mirrors you have. It tells you what your nervous system learned to expect from other humans. It tells you how safe intimacy felt growing up. It tells you whether you believe connection costs you or fills you. Start noticing the quality of your alone time. Does it feel like a deep breath? Or does it feel like locking the door?
Do you come back from it feeling ready to engage with people? Or do you come back dreading the moment someone needs something from you? That answer is data. It's not a verdict. It's just a starting point, a way to understand what your younger self decided about closeness and whether that decision still serves you. Because here's the truth. You can love your alone time and work on letting people in. Those aren't opposites.
The goal isn't to become extroverted. The goal is to make sure your solitude is a choice, not a cage.
And if any of this hit a little too close, if you're recognizing yourself in the independent kid who became the independent adult, that's worth sitting with. Not fixing, just noticing. I make videos breaking down patterns like this every week, so if you want more of this kind of unpacking, stick around.
Because the next thing I want to share is maybe the most important part. So let's bring it home. 3 things to remember. 1. Preferring solitude often isn't a personality trait. It's a nervous system that learns safety meant being alone. 2. That wiring was usually built in childhood when needing people came with a cost. 3. The question isn't whether you love being alone, it's why. Are you moving toward yourself or away from connection? Here's the thing. None of this means you're broken. It means you're someone who adapted brilliantly to what you were given. And now, as an adult, you get to decide what stays and what evolves. Your solitude isn't the enemy, but it might be a teacher. And once you start listening to what it's telling you, that's where the real adult development begins.